On this Tuesday night, Con Air. The Air Canada pilot accused of flying hundreds of flights with a forged license.
This investigation and the details surrounding it read like a movie script.
Why Air Canada says passengers were never in harm's way. Multiple states of emergency in Manitoba.
There's no cell service, you can't get in touch with people.
Flood waters and what's in the forecast. Pressure to make food cheaper for Northern Canadians, how federal programs are not working, and the proposed solutions. Plus, the itch to get on the pitch.
We wait for this for so long, it's going to be crazy.
Excitement mounts for Team Canada's World Cup games on home soil.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin with an extraordinary story about an Air Canada pilot accused of flying tens of thousands of passengers for years despite not having the proper credentials. 59-year-old Jeffrey Wall of Barrie, Ontario is charged with fraud and forgery. Police say he used forged documents to deceive Air Canada and Transport Canada into believing he had an airline transport pilot license. He was even promoted to captain. Wall retired last year. The airline says, though he was a fully trained pilot and passenger safety was never compromised, he did lack the mandatory license he needed. Sean O'Shea has our top story tonight.
Police here say the investigation and details read like a movie script. They allege that a senior Air Canada captain who commanded some of the largest wide-body aircraft in the fleet did not have an air transport license as he was supposed to. Instead, they say he forged a fake one. Police arrested 59-year-old Jeffrey Wall in Barrie. He's been charged with fraud over $5,000, uttering forged documents, and public mischief. Wall had a 27-year flying career with Air Canada until he retired in 2025. After a regulatory review by Transport Canada, police were notified and began an investigation named Project Icarus. Police allege that while Wall was a qualified pilot, he didn't have the required license to fly as a captain. Here's the Deputy Chief of Peel Regional Police.
And we are alleging that since 2009 has been flying for years, misrepresenting himself and his credentials to his employer and regulatory officials using fraudulent licensing documents.
This alleged criminal misconduct also included the possession and uttering of materially altered and counterfeit government-issued pilot licenses and documentation.
The federal transport minister was also asked how a captain could be flying passengers without the proper license.
We'll review the chronology, make sure improvements, if there are any, will be made and made quickly. But I am gratified that we were able to detect this issue and get it dealt with.
For its part, Air Canada claims safety was not compromised and that an audit found no other instances of non-compliance. Air Canada says all pilots undergo mandatory training every 6 months to validate their flying competency. Police say Wall flew 900 domestic and international flights and earned almost $3 million as captain, even though they say he wasn't licensed to do so. He'll appear in court later this month. Donna.
All right, Sean O'Shea in Mississauga, Ontario, thanks. Another chapter in a decades-long battle over one of the most important trade routes in North America is set to unfold this week. Prime Minister Mark Carney says the new Canadian-built Gordie Howe Bridge connecting Windsor and Detroit will open later this week, unless the U.S. president blocks it. Donald Trump claims the U.S. was never fully compensated for the bridge, even though the Canadian government financed it. Mackenzie Gray reports on the political headwinds it still faces.
It was supposed to be a symbol of collaboration linking Detroit and Windsor. But the Gordie Howe Bridge has become so divisive, neither side can agree on when it will open.
It's positive news. Obviously, the bridge will be open at the end of the week, and a symbol, but also a fact of cooperations between our countries.
That cooperation had been in serious jeopardy after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened in February to not issue needed permits while wanting Canada to give the U.S. a 50% ownership stake, despite Canada paying for 100% of the bridge. And the White House isn't backing down. On Tuesday, telling Global News, the president's position on the Gordie Howe Bridge has not changed. The administration remains committed to securing the best possible deal for the American people, concerning Ontario's premier.
Well, let's see if it opens or not. Hopefully it will. If they say it's going to open, I'm just hearing two stories, but that's all right.
The new bridge was agreed to in 2012, aiming to end the nearby Ambassador Bridge's monopoly on truck traffic that carries 25% of Canada-US trade.
Dear Mr. President,
but the owners of the Ambassador aggressively lobbied the Trump administration, aided by major campaign donations, which inserted the new bridge into the broader trade war.
Right now, they have a different approach to the United States. They have some retaliatory tariffs still in effect, and that makes it a problem for us to negotiate.
While the Americans have increased tariffs since Mark Carney's election victory, Canada has removed the vast majority of U.S. counter-tariffs. Recent concessions for U.S. tech giants and limiting Chinese steel, still not enough, with provincial booze bans continuing to annoy the Trump administration.
I can assure you once that deal's done, I'm going to be sitting down and bringing all the booze back on shelves in Ontario, and everyone's going to be kumbaya.
There is a ribbon-cutting ceremony scheduled for Friday, but the Prime Minister will not be in attendance, Donna. Instead, he'll be in France to meet with President Emmanuel Macron ahead of the G7.
Okay, Mackenzie Gray, thanks. Flash flooding in parts of western Manitoba has triggered states of emergency and left people there without power and clean drinking water. Heavy rain on Sunday night caused the severe flooding, and more rain is on the way. Hardest hit is the town of Swan River and the neighboring municipality of Minitonas-Bozeman, about 370 kilometers northwest of Winnipeg. Vasilios Bellos reports on how the raging water is washing out roads and bridges.
The shock is starting to wear off and people are starting to panic.
This bridge along Highway 10 was one of the last access points between Minitonas and Swan River, but has been destroyed by severe flooding over the past few days. The flood has left residents in Minitonas without power and clean drinking water. Many of the town's basements now flooded. Many yards still look like ponds, much of which dried up, damaged. The force of water crashing objects together as it rushed down streets.
My entire one basement wall was pouring water in through the window. Even some of the cracks in the wall were leaking. And I wanted to see why, so I went and opened my back door, and that was a big mistake because water just came in. Like, thank God my stairs to my basement right there. It flooded the entire basement.
Residents are now doing what they can to support each other as they await help from outside the community. Resident Peter Fleming says cell reception and internet connection have been impacted, making communication outside the area difficult.
There's no cell service. You can't get in touch with people, family, friends. They're trying to get in touch with them. And it's just, it's kind of chaos here right now.
This is going down into my basement. Yesterday I woke up to like 3 feet of water in my basement.
Carrie Graham says this has shaken her community, but it's also bringing out the best in them.
We've just been utilizing the resources that we have. We're pooling everything together, trying to support each other, and just focusing on what we can control.
To improve the situation, crews are now breaking up some of Highway 10 to alleviate some of the pooled up water. That, as some fear, the worst has yet to come, as the forecast over the next few days shows the potential for rain as well as thunderstorms. Donna?
All right, Vasilios Bellos near Swan River, Manitoba. Thank you. Living in Canada's north means the cost of things like basic groceries and fresh fruit and vegetables is exceptionally high. A federal program, Nutrition North, has been in place since 2011 to help subsidize those costs. But now the group representing Inuit people says the $145 million a year program has not improved food security and should be scrapped. As Melissa Ridgen reports, there is another idea on the table.
You don't have to live in the north to know food prices there are astronomical.
$16, that's really expensive.
Sticker shock is real, despite Canada spending $145 million this year to, in theory, keep food prices down in 124 northern communities. Inuit taproot Kanatami today called on Ottawa to scrap Nutrition North in their territory, saying it doesn't work. The program also serves northern communities in provinces and the territories.
We bring in the items that are orders.
Tara Tutu Fotheringham operates the Arctic Buying Company in Winnipeg.
Our grocery store has over 20,000 items on it, and we apply the Nutrition North subsidy to our site immediately, and we ship anything up to Nunavut and northern Manitoba.
Those in the industry echo northerners who say no iteration of any federal food program has actually worked.
We can all acknowledge that it's not working, but scrapping the program in its entirety is a wrong and haste method. We need to pick out the things that are working, and then we need to give some of the power back to the communities.
Northern and Arctic Affairs Minister Rebecca Chartrand said in an email that regional consultations are happening and reforms will be made with Inuit. In a sit-down interview with APTN National News last month, she also touted a new program that will grow food in schools.
What better place than the schools, to help grow food. And we're looking at other initiatives as well. We know the Hunters, the Harvesters program was very successful. We want to keep growing on that.
This is the first time the federal government has had 3 Northern and/or Indigenous cabinet ministers who know the food security issue firsthand. So there is some hope this round of program reforms might actually work. Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
The plan for a $90 billion high-speed rail line that would connect Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and Quebec City is running into obstacles before construction even begins. The Parti Québécois is threatening to withdraw Quebec from the plans if it wins the next provincial election. Its leader today called it a financial fiasco. And as Mike Armstrong reports, there's growing resistance in rural parts of eastern Ontario where the Alto line would run.
Planting season in eastern Ontario this spring has meant putting seeds in the ground and, for some, signs and staring at the ceiling.
Farmers around here haven't been sleeping because of this Alto project. People are exhausted. I'm exhausted.
Karine Bercier is one of the people distributing signs and worrying about the future. The Alto high-speed train is supposed to come through the area. Bercier doesn't know if it'll be close to her family's farm or directly through it.
We're there as farmers, okay, well, how do we prepare for this? The unknown, I think, is worse than knowing where this actual train is going to go.
The Alto project is supposed to run from Quebec City to Toronto, but the first stretch being studied is between Montreal and Ottawa. Alto is working to pick the route. By this winter, it's supposed to narrow down the potential path to about 1 kilometer. Eventually, Alto would expropriate a right-of-way about 60 meters wide to protect the tracks.
By the way that this thing is going to be built with like a 10-foot wall around it, it's kind of like a Berlin Wall just heading right down the middle of our county.
It's going to make more infrastructure that we can't maintain.
Now, Ian Walker's farm isn't along the likely route, but he says he's nervous about the impact. He questions how it will affect livestock and wildlife and access around the region. Alto won't build overpasses on every rural road, meaning dead ends and detours. The project will help people in cities, he says, but they won't feel the sacrifices.
We have nothing to gain from it. It's going to stop in Ottawa, it's going to stop in Montreal, and it's going to screw everybody else up on the way to those places.
Now, the uncertainty has turned into activism. On both sides of the Quebec-Ontario border, residents have formed local opposition groups, organized public meetings, and staged protests. Quebec's main farmers' union has another planned for Parliament Hill Wednesday.
It's a very, very bad decision.
Well, Walker says the closer the project gets, the more opponents are bracing for battle.
If they actually try to go through with it, there will be a lot of rebels, a lot of people that will not be happy, including me.
Mike Armstrong, Global News, St. Isidore, Ontario.
Automaker Stellantis is recalling more than 1 million Jeep SUVs and trucks worldwide because of a potential fire risk. The recall covers 2021 to 2025 Jeep Wranglers and Jeep Gladiators, including 106,000 vehicles in Canada. Stellantis warns wiring connected to the power steering pump can overheat and cause a fire. He's accused of murdering his parents. Now, Nick Reiner says he should have access to the trust fund they set up for him. Find out why, coming up. The U.S. president claims an American Apache helicopter that went down over the Strait of Hormuz was shot down by Iran. Donald Trump posted that the 2 pilots are safe, and he vowed to respond. Tonight, U.S. Central Command said it had begun what it calls self-defense strikes on Iran. The crew members were rescued by a sea drone, believed to be the first time that's happened. NASA has announced the crew for the next Artemis mission. As Jackson Prosco explains, NASA says the mission is a critical step in plans to safely send humans back to the lunar surface.
Instead of going to the moon, NASA's next generation of astronauts will set the stage for others to land there.
We are returning to the moon, a grand adventure back to the lunar surface.
Artemis III will be a high-stakes test flight in low Earth orbit. Practice for a return to a place humans haven't touched in more than 50 years.
Every aspect of Artemis III will give us insight into how to refine our plans for Artemis IV and beyond and buy down risk.
It comes on the heels of the successful Artemis II mission around the moon, with Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen on board.
So with that, the Artemis II crew, comrade, hands you the baton. You got the controls.
The crew of 3 Americans and an Italian will carry the mission forward. While in orbit, they'll attempt to dock and test 2 privately built lunar landers, one from SpaceX and one from Blue Origin.
Being that unifying link between the phenomenal Artemis II mission we just had 2 months ago and the Artemis IV mission that will follow ours, where we'll again be the first to land humans on another celestial body.
But Blue Origin's role is in doubt after last month's disastrous explosion during a test of the company's New Glenn rocket.
Setbacks are a learning opportunity. We are confident that New Glenn will be ready for Artemis III, together with Blue Origin.
That hasn't stopped NASA from amping up its lunar ambitions, with long-term plans for a space base on the moon. And it's expected Canada could have a seat on at least one future Artemis mission. Exactly when still hasn't been decided. For now, it's hoped Artemis III can launch sometime next year, with high hopes for building the next mission to the moon. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
Ahead, up-and-coming Canadian tennis star Victoria Mboko teams up with Serena Williams in her big comeback match. There are protests and tension in Belfast, Northern Ireland after a terrible knife attack. Police have charged a 30-year-old man with attempted murder. The attack, caught on video, has sparked a lot of anger. The accused is a Sudanese man who came to Northern Ireland as an asylum seeker. Video showing members of the public trying to stop the attack has been widely shared on social media. The victim has been hospitalized with serious injuries to his eyes, back and face. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer calls the incident sickening. Nick Reiner, accused of killing his parents, is now seeking money from a trust fund they established for him to help fund his legal defense. The 32-year-old has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of murder. Hollywood producer Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were fatally stabbed in their home in December. Nick Reiner was arrested hours later. A petition filed by Reiner's lawyers say the trust fund has at least $1.5 million in assets. Criminal wrongdoing has been ruled out in the death of pro wrestling legend Hulk Hogan. An autopsy has found he died of natural causes. Florida police released a 72-page report outlining the review of the body, the medical records, surveillance footage, and statements. Hogan's shirt-ripping bravado gave rise to the cultural phenomenon known as Hulkamania. He died last July at the age of 71. Tennis legend Serena Williams has made a winning return to the tennis court in doubles. With rising Canadian star Victoria Mboko by her side, they beat the 3rd-seeded team in the first round at the Queen's Club in London. Mboko said it felt natural playing with Williams, who hadn't played professionally since 2022. They are back in action on Thursday in the quarterfinal. A referee from Somalia, who was set to be the first from that nation to officiate at the World Cup, has been denied entry to the United States. Omar Artan, who was named Africa's best male referee last year, was denied entry at Miami International Airport on Saturday. U.S. Customs and Border Protection say it was due to vetting concerns. FIFA confirmed Artan will no longer be able to officiate and says it is the host government that ultimately determines who is admitted to the country. Somalia is one of 39 countries subject to the Trump administration's new travel restrictions. Ready to roll. Next, Team Canada begins its final preparations ahead of the first World Cup match. We are just days away from the start of the World Cup, and Canadian fans are eagerly awaiting this country's first match on home soil. Today, the team held a training session in Toronto, preparing to face Bosnia-Herzegovina on Friday. Eric Sorensen reports on what goes into these final days before playing on the world stage.
Make some noise for your Canadian men's national team.
You know it's close when Team Canada is in the city where their World Cup begins. Excitement is building for soccer fans.
We wait for this for so long, it's going to be crazy.
As tension builds for the players.
We just want to make you guys proud, our family proud, play for this badge and our country for sure. And hopefully we can make all you guys proud this tournament.
It's an historic achievement to play in the world's biggest sporting event and a dream to play at home, especially for Jayden Nelson, a late addition for an injured teammate. Nelson knows adversity. He overcame cancer in his childhood. This team has needed resilience with injuries. Superstar Alphonso Davies' return date is still up in the air. It's been a crazy several days, teams coming from all over the planet to North America. Bosnia and Herzegovina posed in front of the team bus in Toronto, ready for Canada. The Panamanians arrived in Toronto, where they play their first match next week. The Turkish team is training in the Arizona heat, though they won't need it for their first match under the dome at BC Place in Vancouver. Passing through Toronto, Mo Saleh, a global star, says Egyptian fans everywhere will be watching.
We want to make the people proud, and we do our best.
Mark your calendars. The first World Cup match is Thursday in Mexico City. The Mexicans host South Africa. Then Canada's first match is Friday in Toronto versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. That's 3 p.m. Eastern. The Americans' first match the same night in LA against Paraguay. And the first match that Vancouver will host is the next day, Saturday. Note the time, 9 p.m. Pacific. That's midnight Eastern. The sleeplessness of World Cup soccer begins. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
That is Global National for this Tuesday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is Parliament Hill in Ottawa. The Pride flag was raised there today in honor of Pride Month. Thanks for watching and hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.